On February 1st, 2021, several women came forward on social media to make various accusations against shock rocker Marilyn Manson. And as we come upon the 2-year anniversary of these allegations, let me just say, a lot has happened in 2 years. In this video, I'm going to discuss some of these accusations by the women who have also gone on to sue him, as well as Marilyn Manson's lawsuit himself. Just know that this is not everything, especially as I go over some of the discrepancies in their accusations. Esme Bianco is an actress known for her role as Roz in the Game of Thrones franchise. Before her acting career, she was a London-based fetish/BDSM model and burlesque dancer. She came forward alongside Evan Rachel Wood on February 1st, 2021 with accusations against Manson. First, by posting a statement on Instagram stating, quote, "I support and stand with the survivors who have come forward today. When the time is right for me, I will have more to say about my own experience and will share my story in full." The right time apparently came by February 10th, when an article published in New York Magazine's The Cut, where she is featured on her accusations. The next day, she posted on Instagram officially naming Manson as her alleged abuser with claims of trafficking. This is also the same day she is featured in an interview on Good Morning America. What's interesting is her attorney confirms to the media that Esme was interviewed by the FBI and, quote, gave evidence related to trafficking and other crimes. But as it stands today, it appears there is no active criminal investigation by the FBI, which seems to be the leading authority, as it is a federal and international crime. So while Esme is suing Manson with claims of trafficking and other crimes, the FBI has not pressed charges. Esme Bianco is suing Marilyn Manson for an excess of $10 million. In her lawsuit, she claims she first met Manson in 2005, but it was not until February 2009 she alleges abuse first occurred. She claims Marilyn Manson paid for a flight to LA and a hotel for her to appear in his music video to be filmed on flip cameras by Manson himself. The music video was called "I Want to Kill You Like They Do in the Movies." Esme states she understood this to be a professional project, expected crew to be present, and that it would officially be released. Some of her allegations from the shoot include sleep deprivation, wearing lingerie as her costume, claims she was not provided food but only drugs and alcohol, and even claims being tied up, whipped, and electrocuted. What I found interesting is she does not explain if this was filmed as part of the music video, just that it was not released to her knowledge, with claims he kept making excuses up until May 2009. However, on March 24, 2009, Manson details to Rolling Stone the music video was severely sadistic, but it would no longer be the first single or music video for his new album. This is a month after recording the music video, which it seems likely she would have known about this change of direction, considering she claims they were openly communicating that whole time, and claims they were in a long-distance relationship starting in May 2009. Esme Bianco claims Marilyn Manson convinced her to move to LA to live with him in April 2011, alleging Manson would help her secure a visa and launch her career, and that she would star in his film Phantasmagoria. Esme then alleges she spent 2.5 months enduring constant abuse from Manson, with accusations including controlling her movements, being kept awake for days, alleging the apartment was dark and kept at 63 degrees, that Manson was frequently enraged and would throw things around. She even claims he chased her with an axe, and much more. She then claimed she escaped his apartment in June 2011 while he slept. After this alleged escape, she details going to one of his shows years later in 2013. What's interesting to note is this claim Esme makes about escaping Manson, because if you compare her claims against another lawsuit, they do not match. Ashley Walters is Manson's former personal assistant, and she worked for Manson while Esme was purportedly dating him. In her lawsuit, the day Esme ended her relationship, she alleges Esme texted her to, quote, get out of the house because, quote, Manson would be dangerous. Ashley details leaving the house and picking up Esme while driving Manson's car. Okay, so Esme claims she escaped Manson while he slept, which implies Esme is with Manson, right? So where was Ashley at if Esme texted her to, quote, get out of the house because she knew, quote, Manson would be dangerous? That also implies Ashley is in the same place as Manson. And the fact Ashley then details picking up Esme while driving Manson's car has me asking a lot more questions. Ashley Walters was Marilyn Manson's personal assistant allegedly between August 2010 to October 2011. She came forward alongside Evan Rachel Wood on February 1st, 2021 with accusations against Manson. In her Instagram statement, she claims various accusations. Some of her claims include psychological abuse, being gaslit, isolation from friends and family, and claims Manson would offer her up for sexual encounters. And she also claims Manson would become violent and throw items like glass plates and heavy objects, adding she, quote, continues to suffer from PTSD and struggle with depression. In the same post, Ashley mentions she stayed in touch with people who, quote, went through their own traumas under his control, which, interestingly enough, these friends so happen to be a majority of Manson's other accusers. Yet, according to her lawsuit, she didn't even discover the circumstances to be traumatic or unlawful until the fall of 2020, where she was part of an alleged support group with other victims, as seen in the HBO documentary Phoenix Rising. It wasn't until December 2020, 2 months after this filmed support group, that she was diagnosed with PTSD as detailed in her lawsuit, which is known to be the easiest mental health disorder to fake. And it's worth pointing out, she does admit to being fired twice by Manson, which she claims was in July 2011 and then in October 2011. Ashley Walters filed her lawsuit against Marilyn Manson on May 18, 2021. But a little over a year later, on June 29, 2022, the judge dismissed her lawsuit with prejudice, meaning she cannot refile the same claims and sue Manson again. And while the media largely reported her lawsuit was dropped due to the statute of limitations, which is true, there is a lot more to it. The judge gave Ashley Walters 3 times to plead the facts of her lawsuit, and each time she was awarded this opportunity, she had to amend her lawsuit to address the issues. One issue was she claimed she did not discover her employment as being traumatic and unlawful until the support group, the same support group featured in HBO's documentary, Phoenix Rising. What Ashley's attorneys attempted to do is use the legal term called delayed discovery to overcome the 2-year statute of limitations for all of her claims. Delayed discovery is typically used for minor children who, because of their age and vulnerability, do not understand actions against them were wrong. But the court ruled that in her first complaint, she details already being aware of what she alleges happened to her by the time she left her employment. So Ashley claimed this delayed discovery, related to the support group 10 years later, is why she should overcome the statute of limitations. And she was given 3 times to fix this reoccurring issue. But the court ultimately did not agree, and all 8 causes of action were dismissed with prejudice, with the judge stating her lawsuit had too few facts. After the judge dismissed Ashley Walters' lawsuit against Marilyn Manson, she did file an appeal, which is still pending. But this is certainly not the last time we will hear about Ashley Walters, since she is listed as a witness in Esme Bianco's lawsuit. And she is even mentioned in Manson's lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood as allegedly providing Manson's former email and social media passwords to Evan's on-again, off-again girlfriend, Ashley Illma Gore. What is interesting is Ashley was due to sit for a third-party deposition in Esme Bianco's lawsuit. This means both sides' attorneys would be asking her questions, and answers from this deposition would be used in court. But there is a growing trend in these lawsuits where some of the accusers seem to dodge sitting for these depositions, with Ashley herself appearing to not sit down for her scheduled deposition twice. So I'm not going to go into the full history of this right now, but I will provide some quick details. In Ashley Walters' subpoena, Manson's attorneys asked for, quote, all written communications with Esme Bianco, Evan Rachel Wood, and or Ashley Gore, aka Illma Gore, regarding Brian Warner, included but not limited to text messages, emails, social media messages, and other direct messages. Her attorneys argued this was overly broad, with Manson's attorneys then filing a motion for the judge to compel her deposition. In short, the judge ruled Walters had to sit for this deposition, though the judge did limit the scope to agreed upon topics. She did have to provide all communications with Esme Bianco, as well as all communications with Evan Rachel Wood and Illma Gore that relate to Esme's allegations. Jane Doe, a pseudonym used to conceal someone's identity, is suing Marilyn Manson, claiming various accusations similar to the other accusers. Allegedly, she met Manson in February 2011 at a pre-Grammy show party, but in her lawsuit, she claimed she had repressed memories, and it was not until the February 2021 accusations, which she read about in an article, that her memories came back. After meeting Manson at this party, she claims Manson invited her to come to his residence to watch a movie, claiming Manson reassured her that his assistant, Ashley Walters, would be present to act as a chaperone. She claims once at his apartment, it was clear he was aggressively pursuing her by showering her with compliments, and alleges Manson started emailing, texting, and calling her more frequently. Jane Doe claimed sometime after that their relationship became more romantic and physical, and claims 2 weeks after meeting, Manson told her he loved her and wanted a serious monogamous relationship. In March 2011, she alleges Manson then gave her a key to his apartment, to which she claims she moved in with him while also keeping her own duplex. If this time frame sounds familiar, well, it is. Esme Bianco alleges she was in a long-distance relationship with Manson at this exact same time. And Esme also alleges she moved in with Manson a month later in April 2011. If you read Jane Doe's lawsuit, she details dates well into June 2011, the same time Esme alleges to still be living with Manson. So it's one thing for both women to claim they were dating Manson at the same time, but it's another thing entirely for both to claim to be living with Manson at the same time in his one-bedroom apartment. Jane Doe's lawsuit against Marilyn Manson mentions a film we are going to hear a lot more about. Groupie is a short art horror film Manson created in the late 1990s and was never fully released, though it appears less than 20 seconds of this footage is seen in Manson's Dead to the World tour documentary. Jane Doe claims Manson wanted to show her this VHS, which was locked in a safe. She alleges Manson stated only 3 people besides him had ever seen it, but that he trusted her completely, and it was incredibly meaningful. In her lawsuit, Jane Doe then recounts what appears to be the entirety of Manson's Groupie horror film. She claims she believed Manson was showing her this video because he was going to unalive her, and claimed she cried while watching this film, and Manson told her she needed to watch until the end. Jane Doe alleges after the video ends, she was crying and repeatedly asked Manson if the girl in the video was dead, because she believed she was. She then details Manson informing her this girl was actually his girlfriend at the time, and she had also appeared in his music video, Long Hard Road Out of Hell, though Jane Doe claimed the girl in Groupie did not look anything like the same girl in the music video. But this short art horror film was so disturbing that she claims it was traumatizing. In some of the other lawsuits, they detail being forced to watch a disturbing film, which appears likely this is the same film, which is definitely interesting when you consider this film, Groupie, is a large part of Manson's lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood and her alleged co-conspirator, Ashley Illma. Jane Doe does not want her identity to be made public, which is ultimately left up to the judge and can change at any time. But what's interesting in this case is apparently her allegations against Marilyn Manson were public in the past, meaning she likely accused him publicly alongside other accusers in February 2021, and her accusations were likely covered in the media. In recent months, Jane Doe's anonymity has been an ongoing issue. She doesn't want third parties to use confidential yet public information to be used in Manson's other lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood and Ashley Illma Gore, because the public information would identify her. In that lawsuit, Manson is alleging a conspiracy by Evan and Illma to recruit alleged victims to cast him publicly as an abuser. In Jane Doe's case, the judge did agree with her argument to keep these documents as confidential, and they also could not identify her on any subpoenas or other discovery materials. However, the judge did state Manson could propose modifications to the protective order that would deal with his legitimate issues of discovery. This could be important because it's likely Jane Doe's actual name comes up in Manson's lawsuit against Evan and Illma, as several of these documents from Illma Gore's deposition were redacted or sealed under an abundance of caution. It's alleged in some of the latest legal filings that Manson's legal team uncovered Evan and Illma tried to recruit dozens of women to make accusations, which was likely discovered on a broken iPad once owned by Illma Gore, where some of this evidence of a conspiracy seems to come from. Ashley Lindsay Morgan Smithline is a model and actress, but she's not particularly famous or known for anything. She came forward alongside Evan Rachel Wood on February 1st, 2021, with accusations against Manson. In a similar fashion, she posted a statement on Instagram with her accusations. In her now deleted post and handle, she claimed she was contacted by Manson in 2009/2010, and after a long time of talking and texting, she alleges he flew her out to LA to be part of a film and photo series project. But she quickly went from staying at a hotel to living with him. At least that's what she alleges. Now, when I first read this, I thought maybe she meant she was staying at his apartment versus the hotel, much like in Esme's claims. Except in Ashley's interviews and her lawsuit, she really does go on to claim she moved in with Manson during this alleged project without much clarification otherwise. For example, she states in her lawsuit, quote, "Soon after Ms. Smithline arrived in Los Angeles in or around mid-November 2010, Mr. Warner asked her to move into his apartment. Ms. Smithline agreed." And for added context, this is alleged to have happened before they were in a consensual relationship days later. So a little bit of a strange claim, but this could be cleared up if any of the journalists had asked these questions, because she also alleges in these interviews being in a 2+ year relationship with Manson, and the abuse alleged to have started while she was living with him as early on as November 2010, which, again, consider the time frame, as Esme Bianco claims she was in a 2-year long-distance relationship during this same exact time. As well as a few months later, in February 2011, that's when Jane Doe claims that she is in a relationship. And again, all of these women claim to be living with Marilyn Manson in 2011. Marilyn Manson filed a lawsuit against his ex-fiancée and actress, Evan Rachel Wood, and her alleged on-again, off-again girlfriend, Ashley Illma Gore, alleging a conspiracy to recruit accusers and cast him publicly as an abuser. While the media reports this only as a defamation lawsuit, it is much more. He is not just suing for defamation, Manson is also suing for intentional infliction of emotional distress, as well as 2 serious California state crimes to include violation of the Comprehensive Computer Data and Access Fraud Act and impersonation over the internet. The lawsuit details how this alleged conspiracy went on for at least 2 years, where it is alleged Evan and Illma secretly recruited, coordinated, and pressured accusers to emerge simultaneously with allegations against him, including allegedly providing prospective accusers checklists that would mirror fabricated allegations, with Evan Rachel Wood claiming in her documentary Phoenix Rising that many of the accuser's stories matched almost word for word, insinuating it was likely because of these checklists provided. In addition, other claims in this lawsuit include swatting, impersonating an actual FBI agent, creating email accounts in Manson's name, hacking, and claiming Manson's short film made in the 90s depicted. When Marilyn Manson first filed his lawsuit in March 2022, there were definitely some questions people were asking. For example, there are alleged screenshots of text messages between Evan Rachel Wood and Ashley Illma Gore in this filing, in what appears to be a back and forth exchange in the creation of an alleged fake FBI letter, to which you will definitely hear a lot more about this fake FBI letter, but also likely during the trial. The filing also adds several exhibits, such as an alleged checklist and an alleged example of a script. But it wasn't really clear in Manson's lawsuit where they got these screenshots or where this information comes from. And it isn't until July 2022, when we see several declarations submitted on behalf of Manson, that we learn more. Brighton Gore, Illma Gore's twin sister, files a declaration where she details a broken iPad in her possession. This broken iPad, allegedly once owned by Illma, contained a number of items related to Evan Rachel Wood, the Phoenix Act, and more, as well as emails, draft emails, social media posts, and more in Brighton Gore's name, which she states she never drafted, authorized, or sent. She then confirms the screenshot of a conversation between Evan and Illma on the Signal app, allegedly drafting one version of a fake FBI letter. After Manson filed his lawsuit in March 2022, the iPad was forensically imaged by a computer forensics expert in late March. We also learn in recent filings that Illma Gore had hired an attorney to try and get the broken iPad back even as late as March 2022. And we also know from recent filings that some of what was found on the broken iPad was presented to Illma Gore at her deposition in October 2022. So I've mentioned various discrepancies between when Esme Bianco, Jane Doe, and Ashley Morgan Smithline claimed to be dating or even living with Marilyn Manson. But let's revisit the timeline. Esme Bianco claims she was in a long-distance relationship/affair with Manson starting in May 2009. Oh, and by the way, Esme was also married at this time. Esme claims she moved in with Manson in April 2011, with this relationship ending when she alleges she escaped him while he slept in June 2011, even though Ashley Walters' version of events does not match hers. Oh, and remember Ashley Walters said she was driving Manson's car? Well, she was also arrested for a DUI that same night and crashed his car, and it's apparently why her nickname is Smashley. Then we have Ashley Morgan Smithline claiming she moved in with Manson in November 2010, and that's also when this alleged consensual relationship begins, with her accusations claiming she had a 2-year relationship which ended sometime in 2013. And Jane Doe claims her relationship started in February 2011, and by March, she is not only dating Manson but also living with him, with this relationship ending in June 2011. So I'm not going to go into Evan Rachel Wood's entire dating history with Manson in this video, but I will add her to the timeline where it's relevant, because there were some stories in the media in 2009 claiming Evan and Manson were back together after their October 2008 breakup, but it wasn't confirmed until December 2009 when Marilyn Manson stated in an interview they were back together, which, according to Esme Bianco at this time, she is in a long-distance relationship with Manson. And in January 2010, Manson and Evan were both engaged. But by mid-August 2010, the media reported the relationship and engagement had ended. Now, in Evan Rachel Wood's declaration, she claims she found the courage to end her relationship with Manson in 2010 when she left to go film The Ides of March. The problem is The Ides of March did not start filming until February 2011, and casting did not start until October 2010 timeframe, 2 months after the media reported their relationship had ended. So I thought maybe she got the year wrong or maybe even the wrong film. But the one film she filmed last in 2010 was called Mildred Pierce. And there are photos of both Manson and Evan on the set together in New York City. With all of this in mind, and as I've said from the beginning, these were not all of the accusations or even all of the discrepancies, but I'll be here to report on them. Make sure to check out Colonel Kurt's YouTube channel as she has done an amazing job and has a ton of videos featuring some discrepancies not even mentioned in this video. And she also has several interviews from those who have personally known Manson, including a personal assistant, as well as the actress from Groupie, which again, you're going to hear a lot more about. There are also other resources such as Marilyn Manson Uncanceled's website, Stand By Your Manson on Instagram, and many more I'll put in the description. To keep up to date on the Marilyn Manson lawsuits, make sure to follow me here on YouTube as well as on social media.